Hello, America. Tonight we're diving into a story that could have huge implications for millions around the world. It's a story that touches on the very essence of America's role on the global stage and how we choose to wield our influence and resources. It's about foreign aid, those dollars we send overseas. These funds are meant to help struggling nations, support humanitarian efforts, and foster global stability. But it's not just about the money, it's about the message we send to the world. Now, some people might think, why are we giving money away when we have problems here at home? It's a valid question, especially when you see the challenges we face domestically, from homelessness to economic disparity. Well, it's more complicated than that. Foreign aid isn't just charity, it's an investment in global security and prosperity. By helping other nations, we help ourselves by creating a more stable and interconnected world. This story is about the Trump administration's attempt to shut down USAID, the very agency that handles a big chunk of our foreign aid. USAID has been a cornerstone of American foreign policy for decades, working in over 100 countries to promote development and humanitarian assistance. And let me tell you, it's been a wild ride. The administration's efforts to dismantle USAID have faced significant pushback from lawmakers, aid organizations, and the public. Just this week, a judge blocked parts of Trump's plan to essentially dismantle USAID. This ruling is a critical moment in the ongoing battle over the future of American foreign aid. This was a huge win for the agency and everyone who relies on it. The decision has been met with relief and celebration by those who understand the importance of USAID's work, but the fight is far from over. The administration is likely to continue its efforts to reduce or eliminate foreign aid programs, and the debate over America's role in the world will persist. Trump's administration has been trying to gut USAID for a while now, proposing massive budget cuts and staff reductions. These proposals have sparked intense debates about the value and purpose of foreign aid. This latest attempt to shut it down completely, it has raised serious concerns among international allies and aid recipients who depend on American support. Well, let's just say it didn't go over well with a lot of folks. The controversy has ignited passionate discussions about our responsibilities as a global leader and the impact of our policies on the world's most vulnerable populations. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's talk about what USAID actually does. You see, USAID is like that friend who's always there to lend a helping hand, but on a global scale. They're the ones fighting poverty, promoting democracy, and providing humanitarian assistance in developing countries. Think about it. USAID is on the ground in over 100 countries, providing life-saving aid after natural disasters, fighting diseases like HIV/AIDS, and helping communities build a better future. They're the ones making sure kids get vaccinated, farmers have the tools they need, and families have access to clean water. In short, they're doing some seriously important work. So why on earth would anyone want to shut down USAID? This question has sparked a lot of debate and controversy. USAID, or the United States Agency for International Development, has been a cornerstone of American foreign policy since its inception in 1961. It has played a crucial role in providing humanitarian aid, promoting economic development, and supporting democratic governance around the world. However, not everyone sees it as a force for good. Well, the Trump administration argues that it's about efficiency and getting a better return on investment. They believe that the agency's operations are outdated and that the funds allocated to USAID could be used more effectively elsewhere. The administration has proposed significant budget cuts to the agency, suggesting that private sector partnerships in other countries should take on more responsibility. They claim that USAID is bloated, bureaucratic, and that the money could be better spent elsewhere. Critics argue that the agency's large bureaucracy slows down decision-making processes and leads to inefficiencies. They also point to instances of mismanagement and wasteful spending as evidence that the agency needs a major overhaul or even a complete shutdown. They argue that other countries should be doing more and that the US is carrying too much of the burden. The idea is that by reducing USAID's budget, other nations will be compelled to step up and contribute more to global development efforts. This perspective is rooted in the belief that the US should prioritize its own interests and reduce its financial commitments abroad. Now, there's some truth to the fact that USAID has faced criticism over the years for bureaucracy and inefficiency. Various reports and audits have highlighted issues within the agency, including delays in project implementation and challenges in monitoring and evaluation. These criticisms have fueled calls for reform and greater accountability within the organization. But many experts argue that these problems are overblown, and that USAID has made significant progress in recent years. They point to reforms that have been implemented to streamline operations, improve transparency, and enhance the effectiveness of aid programs. Additionally, USAID has been at the forefront of addressing some of the world's most pressing challenges, from global health crises to natural disasters. They point to the agency's track record of success in tackling complex global challenges. USAID has been instrumental in reducing poverty, improving health outcomes, and promoting stability in conflict-affected regions. Its work has had a profound impact on millions of lives, and many believe that dismantling the agency would be a step backward for both the US and the global community. Now, back to the legal battle. Several groups, including former USAID employees and human rights organizations, filed a lawsuit challenging Trump's shutdown plan. They argued that the administration overstepped its authority and violated federal law by trying to dismantle USAID without proper congressional approval. Their argument boiled down to this: Congress, not the president, has the power of the purse. In other words, it's up to Congress to decide how federal funds are spent. And Congress has consistently supported USAID's mission and funding. Section 5. The judge's decision, a win for USAID for now. And what did the judge have to say about all this? The courtroom was filled with anticipation as everyone awaited the judge's decision. The stakes were incredibly high and the atmosphere was tense. Well, in a strongly worded ruling, the judge agreed with the plaintiffs, at least in part. The judge meticulously reviewed the arguments presented by both sides, weighing the potential impacts of the administration's plan. The judge issued a preliminary injunction, putting a hold on key elements of Trump's plan to dismantle USAID. This injunction serves as a temporary measure to prevent any immediate changes while the case continues to be litigated. The judge ruled that the administration's actions likely violated the law, and that allowing the shutdown to proceed would cause irreparable harm to USAID and its partners. This ruling underscores the importance of USAID's work and the potential negative consequences of its abrupt termination. This was a major victory for USAID supporters, but it's important to note that this is just a temporary reprieve. The supporters celebrated this win, but they are well aware that the battle is not yet over. The case is still ongoing and the Trump administration could appeal the ruling. Legal experts suggest that the administration might pursue an appeal, which could lead to further legal battles and uncertainty for USAID. The fight is far from over. Both sides are gearing up for the next phase of this legal struggle, and the future of USAID hangs in the balance. The coming months will be crucial in determining the ultimate outcome of this high-stakes case. Section 6. Ripple effects, the potential impact on global aid. So what happens if USAID actually gets shut down? Well, the consequences could be devastating. We're talking about a ripple effect that could be felt around the world, particularly in the poorest and most vulnerable communities. Think about it. Millions of people rely on USAID for basic necessities like food, water, and medicine. Shutting down the agency would mean cutting off these lifelines, putting countless lives at risk. It would also undermine decades of progress in global development and diplomacy. Section 7. Voices of opposition lawmakers, NGOs speak out. The backlash to Trump's shutdown plan has been swift and fierce. Lawmakers from both sides of the aisle have condemned the move, arguing that it would damage America's global standing and undermine national security interests. Even prominent Republicans have spoken out against shutting down USAID, recognizing the vital role it plays in advancing U.S. interests abroad. And it's not just politicians. Humanitarian organizations, faith-based groups, and NGOs have all voiced their opposition. They argue that shutting down USAID would be a moral travesty and a strategic blunder of epic proportions. Section 8. The world is watching international reaction. This isn't just an American issue, folks. The rest of the world is watching, and they're not impressed. Allies have expressed concern and dismay over the Trump administration's attempts to dismantle USAID. They recognize that U.S. leadership in global development is essential, and that weakening USAID weakens the entire international aid system. The shutdown plan has also drawn criticism from international organizations like the United Nations, which relies on USAID as a key partner in delivering humanitarian aid and development assistance. Section 9. The future of USAID, what happens next? So, what does the future hold for USAID? Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The legal battle is far from over, and the Trump administration has shown no signs of backing down. The outcome of this case could have far-reaching consequences for USAID and the future of U.S. foreign policy. One thing is clear, the fight for USAID is a fight for American values. It's a fight for global leadership, compassion, and the belief that we have a moral obligation to help those less fortunate. And it's a fight that we can't afford to lose.